Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today we are looking at the Assassin mech, our first foray into having medium mechs. So, uh, the Assassin is a battle mech that began its life because of corporate ambitions and successful lobbyists. Though there was no need for a new medium mech in its arsenal, the Meltex Corporation lobbied the Star League to purchase the Assassin as a replacement for the lighter Wasp and Stinger. They were successful largely through overhyped performance statistics, fuzzy budgeting approximations. Oh my goodness, and some greased palms, and even then, only several hundred were constructed before production slowed to a crawl after two assassin factories came under investigation for quality control violations. Still, the assassin proved to be a popular mech with garrison forces of the SLDF and the Merrick Militia. With an impressive top speed and jumping distance of 210 meters, combined with excellent coverage for its 4.5 tons of armor and solid firepower, the Assassin was considered a superb reconnaissance and light mech hunter in its own right. The Assassin was not flawless, however, especially when Maltex cut corners during its initial production, and it has a dubious distinction of having one of the most cramped cockpits of the inner sphere. Uh, Dozens of attempts by Maltex over hundreds of years to overhaul the cockpit cooling system to create more elbow room ended in failure, not only limiting assassin pilots' time in cockpit to half that of other mechs, but causing many to develop a lifetime of back problems. Eventually, the use of assassins by all sides lessened due to the shortage of spare parts, with the Capellian Confederation simply running out of these mechs by 3025. Though its modular design and access systems allowed it to survive. By 3058, most assassins had been phased out of service, with the remaining mechs mostly family heirlooms passed down through mech warrior families and with many modifications. Defiance Industries was licensed by Maltex to produce a variant, the ASN 30, for the Lyrans during the FedCom Civil War, but it was largely seen as a failure. The Assassin would see a resurgence in 3067 when Hellspoint Networks acquired the design from Meltex, thanks in part to minor distractions facing Meltex, such as charges of tax evasion and collusion with the Word of Blake, and being produced uh, and began producing the ASN 23 for the Capellians, the Concordant, and the Magistry of Canopus. Right, getting down to our weapons and equipment, the Assassin is popular for its long range capabilities thanks to the Holly 5 LRM-5 launcher. In the right side of its torso, its primary short range weapon is the Holly 2 SRM-2 launcher in the torso's left side, supported by a Martel medium laser in the right arm. With just 2 tons of missile ammunition, 1 ton of LRM, and 1 ton of SRM ammunition, the mech has limited endurance on extended operations. Without resupply, and it's vulnerable when left with only the laser to fight back. Assassins built before 2815 also suffer from a serious design flaw in the short range missile rack's reloading mechanism, which experienced chronic jamming during high heat situations and could only be repaired by dismantling the unit. Under severe corporate pressure, Meltex finally fixed the problem in newer models and offered several years funding for recalled repairs, though some privately owned assassins might still mount the defective system. So, getting into the variants here, we do have the ASN 23. The 23 variant of the Assassin is an upgrade of the original model using lost tech. Originally seen as a standardized field modification in 3067, new production began at Hellespont Mechworks. The SRM-2 has been removed to upgrade to the medium laser to a medium pulse laser. Typically, uh, readily, uh, the readily available Magna 400P and its Artemis 4 fire control system has been added for the LRM-5 launcher with the CCAF, TDF, and MAF. It is largely used as a cheap way to rebuild shattered forces and sees service mostly in green and reserve formations. The Capellians, in particular, used the 23 as a fire support unit for pursuit and strike lances, though shortages of Artemis munitions means many are forced to use mine delivery missiles. All right, the ASN 30, the 30 variant of the Assassin, produced under license by Defiance Industries, was a radical departure from the classic formula for the mech. The chassis was redesigned with designed to utilize endo steel construction and the engine upgraded to a light fusion engine. The saving weight was used to upgrade the medium laser to an ER medium laser. The LRM-5 to SRM-2 are removed in favor of an LBX AC-5. Additionally, the armor has been increased by 2 full tons and the single heat sinks upgraded to double strength versions. Used by the Lyran side of the FedCom Civil War, this design is considered a failure and few of them were ever produced. We have the ASN 99, when Hellspont MechWorks first acquired the Assassin from Meltex Corporation, the ASN-99 was the original testbed design, incorporating more armor than any previous variant, thanks in large part to the inclusion of the XL engine. Its long-range punch is provided by a light PPC, while it can rely upon two SRM-2s at close range. Target acquisition gear enables it to carry or call down support. Let me try that again. Targeting acquisition gear enables it to call down supporting fire should the assassin find itself embroiled in a fight. This variant also mounts stealth armor and a sword. We have the ASN 101. The 101 Assassin was an unofficial variant produced in limited numbers by the Federated Suns during the Succession Wars, removing some of the mech's 7 jump jets and shaving off a half-ton of armor. They were able to fit 3 MaxL-50 small lasers, one in each leg and a third in the head. The design was seen as a failure, especially since it sacrifices 60 meters of the mech's immense jump distance, and only 3 were purported to have been built and stationed where the Capellian March militia. Though some cited circumstantial evidence of more construction in secret. All right, the ASN 109, the new CCAF version of the Assassin, shares a large number of parts with the Raven 2. To improve logistics and replacement, a capable machine, it is protected with stealth armor and an Angel ECM suite, protecting a 280 rated XL engine and a small cockpit. The space saved by this is sent on weaponry, with a light PPC being mounted in the right arm cannon module, while the MML-5 with 2 tons of Case 2 protection or protected ammunition is mounted in the right torso. An improved one-shot SRM-2 is generally loaded with specialty warheads as well. All right, with all that, we're not going to get into these other little kind of sub sessions from like MechWarrior Online and all that. Design quirks, we have easy to maintain, cramped cockpit, non-standard parts, and poor life support. Okay, getting into the pictures that we have here, seeing that the Assassin is, in some regards, kind of a fan favorite, I think. Uh, I know that we've fielded a couple of them in our time playing Battletech, especially when we're going for lighter mechs. Um, kind of became a little bit of a popular trend for us in our own gaming circle. All right, so the original done by Dwayne Luce for the 3025 technical readout, and then we get for the 3050. This one is done by Joel Bisk as the penciler and Jim Nelson as the inker. We have the 3050U Assassin. This comes from Brett Evans as the 3050 upgrade book. And then for the clan version of the Assassin here, we have Ben Myers. Let's see, what else do we have here? We have the Dragon Roars. This is author is Mike Chen. Um, the Dragon Wars scenario pack. It doesn't say who the actual artist was, but the author for the book was Mike Chen. Let's see, then we start getting into some of the old pictures that we had. Franz Vowinkle, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, for Classic Battletech Universe 2003, page 39. Let's see, what else do we have here? This is one of the collector card game pictures for the Assassin by Charles Gillespie. Another collector card game for Counter Strike by Doug Chaffee. We've seen his work a couple times. Let's see, this one I think is one of the card backs by Alex Iglesias um, for MechWarrior Online. Okay, it's not one of the card backs, it's MechWarrior Online. Obviously, these are the card backs. You know, way back when, instead of giving us plastic figures or whatever else, they were giving us these nice cards. So we have our front and back look at it. And this one is by Chris Muller. And last but not least, we have a miniature here. And it looks like the artist spoken mnemonic for the photo. And that wraps all that up. So with that, let's get on over to our D6 stats, see what we have here. We do have a listed price of 3,765,813 C-bills for this start in our medium mech line. All right, so looking at the Assassin here, being at Walker scale as usual, we do have our crew of one, starting our tonnage here being a first medium mech that we have come across. This is at 40 tons, has a cargo capacity, still leaving that at 25 kilograms, seeing that there's not a lot of extra space for a lot of these. And for a mech like this, where it has that small cockpit, that might even be given it a little extra credit for that. But we'll keep that anyways. Again, the cost here is 3,765,813 C-bills as we start noticing the price jumping up on our battle mechs here as we get the heavier weight, more weapons, more armor, and so on and so forth. All right, we have a ground altitude here being a holdover from some of our other stuff. Maneuverability is going to be a, oops, I don't know if I actually changed that correctly or not. I have it as a 3D plus one. We'll just kind of go with it for now. Our movement is 118.8 kilometers an hour with a jump out to 210 meters. We do have a body strength of 3D plus 2, and it's listed as having 72 armor points. Now we only have 3 weapons on here, so starting off with our SRM2 in our left torso. Fire control is 2D, and it's going to have a 5D if we're shooting all of them. If you wanted to shoot one missile at a time, and that's why I put this in here, it'd be 4D for the first missile, plus 1D for every additional missile, or just doing it as a 5D. We do have our medium laser in our right arm. Fire control is 2D, and damage is 4D because it is just one medium laser. We do have an LRM5. Again, fire control is 2D. Our damage is going to be a 6D on this one. So, And again, it's 2D for the first missile and 1D for each additional missile. That's how we're getting our 6D. My mind was blanking out here. I was thinking that I had 6D for our medium laser, which I knew wasn't right. So that's where the little pause came from. Getting into heavier mechs and then more operational capabilities with some of these, uh, being able to stick into a fight for a little bit longer. It is kind of, you know, nice as we're kind of trudging along here. Um, like I said, this was one of the mechs that there were there were a number of times for our small lances that we would actually field an assassin. I mean, just being pen and paper. Of course, we don't really worry about how cramped the cockpit is. Uh, Currently, me today, if it was my fat butt trying to fit in there, I don't think I'd ever fit in there. So, just keeping things in the reality there. Um, but it is an interesting looking mech, and it's always had a nice look to it. So, going from that point on, it looks good. So, with that being said, thank you so very much for joining me today. It's always wonderful having you here. I hope you're doing well, and I will see you in the next video.